We're back. Expansion of consciousness. We're back and we're excited about 2023 to kick off the new year and the new season. I'm your host, Jason Medlock, and I have a fabulous show lined up. My co host, Tereska Harrison, will be joining us along with Araya Love, a tremendous, talented spiritual medium, channeler, author, Reiki master, galactic healing energy master. There's a lot of accolades that I can say about Araya. But I want to first off say we're excited to be back. We have a nice lineup for the coming spring. And I'm going to start by saying hit the like button and actually subscribe because that helps the channel grow. And we can continue to bring this type of compelling material that's solely built to help you enhance your life and pick up different ways to build different parts of your life that you may want to improve. There may be some things that you're struggling with that you may want to confront. So, all the material that we present on a bi-weekly basis is all designed for you. But without any further ado, I want to introduce our host. I'm sorry, I'm going to introduce our guest, but I'm going to bring on my co-host as well. But so Araya Love's mission is to spread balance and healing and unconditional love with all, to manifest to a compassionate world. Her website is Magenta Sun Healing. Araya's connection with the subconscious of unconditional love to channel and share unconditional love Reiki. She provides energy for healing, animal communication, animal energy, healing, unconditional love Reiki, and that is for everyone. Fruits of love healing, herbal energy healing, psychic abilities, mentoring, empathic ability mentoring, past life and Akashic record readings, custom and personalized guide meditations, channeled i-tal meal guides, heart-centered writing services, and much, much more. Araya is very talented. She also can assist with helping you unlock and learn your unique spirit self abilities, and she can help communicate with your higher self and your spirit guides. In addition, Araya offers a wide range of free video courses on channelings on YouTube. I'm excited about this person, but right now I'm going to bring on my co-host, Tereska Harrison. Okay, I think I lost her on the stream again. However, um, well, here she is again. Let me find her. There she is. Tereska, how are you?
I'm good. How you doing?
Good. We have to know,
Awesome.
I see you in the background just doodling around and messing around. And I told you things don't always start perfect. We just got to roll what we have. Ain't that right, sis?
I'm trying my best. Yes, everything has to roll. We have to roll what we have, and I'm
But one
thankful
thing
to
I
be
wanted
here.
exactly, I want the audience to wish my big sister, my idol, a happy birthday.
Thank you,
Ooh.
everyone. Thank you.
Happy birthday, happy birthday. So I know you heard me talking about Araya and there's some of the wonderful skills she brings to the table. And this is gonna be very, very good. But she'll be talking about more importantly, self-alchemy. And she'll be talking about Seraphim DNA activation. I mean, those things are absolutely wonderful. And before you say anything, let's tell the audience what they're like. Okay, self alchemy. What are y'all talking about today? Well, self alchemy is the process of energy transformation. For instance, changing fear into love, trauma into life force, inflammation into cell rejuvenation. And Araya does those incredible things. We know that energy has the power to change form and be in a pure form of love centered state. And that's what she presents. Seraphim DNA activation, which I know you had, Tereska,
Mhm.
is channeling a specific frequency of an angelic being to deactivate negative and harmful gene expressions while activating intuitive and healed gene expressions. And I know you had an awesome time with Araya when you had that done to you.
Yeah,
How did it feel for you? I mean, what did you get from it?
it was quite an interesting transformation.
Okay, we lost you. So we'll pick her back up.
the
There you
level
go.
of the
There you
level
go.
of healing that I felt, even though
We'll
even
start that over because we lost you a little bit. So
oh, okay, you guys
yeah,
lost me. Okay,
yeah.
well, I mean, the level of energy that the burst of energy that went through my body as we were going through the therapy was just awesome. And then over a period of time, I felt the healing and the soreness in my legs, the things, transforming. And she told me it would happen over a period of time. And just to know that there's some DNA that I wanted changed in my body, some things that I feared may cause issues as I got older, that she was able to work with that she was able to actually connect with and angelic beings to connect with that and help heal that was very interesting, awesome, and amazing. So
That's a that is amazing. But without further ado, we're gonna bring Araya on, and I'm happy to have her on. Let's get her on here. Araya,
So
hey there.
happy birthday. I didn't realize that
thank
today was your birthday.
you. Thank you. Yes. Thank you so much.
Yeah, so
Well,
thank you for having me.
I'm glad that you're on with us for this new year. I know that you have been getting messages about making sure you got on the first part of this year, and you have been a helpful source to many around the world and here in the U.S. And especially me. I consider you my spiritual teacher. How I got, I mean, from point A to point B, and I am excited that you're here. And I know that you have a lot of wonderful things that you want to share. What have you been doing? Tell us about what's been going on with you.
So much for your kind words. And I've been working on a lot of self transformation and self alchemy, recognizing all the aspects of me, both from this lifetime and many other lifetimes that have been bridges of learning. Every single experience that we have, every single energy that we take in or experience on an inside or an outside level, it has something to teach us, and we're meant to grow with it. So the process of self-alchemy is recognizing how we can grow. So for instance, the purpose of fear is to teach us how to overcome it. It's not here to be like a defining factor for our life and to rule our life. And so for alchemy, it's really just tapping into anything that needs to be addressed for our own personal learning journey in order to grow and then come back to ourselves. And naturally, we are beings of love. We are all life is source love incarnated, including us. And so it's coming back to who we are, to that source energy, to that source consciousness, being able to bring that on a human expression level and being able to transform not just ourselves, but the worlds, because like world healing, world peace, it comes from inner alchemy. It comes from being able to find peace and to transform suffering within ourselves first. So I've been on a journey really to focus on learning to channel information, and every single day spend hours connecting to be able to receive any information and energy healing for myself in order to work with others to bring that light within them to the surface.
So when you, like, for instance, let's just say, the average layperson, and they're dealing with, let's just hypothetically say they're dealing with trauma from abuse.
Yes.
Okay, let's apply self alchemy to that process. When one of your clients, and what would be the steps? I mean, how would you help a person like that using this type of spiritual modality?
Yes, so it comes really to the root. All forms of healing, whether it's using energy healing, I mean, pretty much all forms of healing is just energy being expressed in different ways, whether it's in a condensed way or in more of a free flowing way. Um, but it's finding the root and then being able to address it. So, for instance, typically I will begin always by connecting with someone's higher self, regardless of the modality, to see exactly what's in them that needs to be transformed. So, why did they have this traumatic experience? A lot of people can have a hard time understanding this for many different reasons.
Yeah.
And being able to accept like that everything happens for a reason, and I really mean everything, is really challenging because in some ways it can feel like you're taking responsibility for something that happened to you. But at the same time, it's not always necessarily something negative that you did, that you receive something negative in return. That's just a very like basic understanding of it. Can be many things. So for instance, when I came into this lifetime, there was some trauma that I went through, like from witnessing my parents arguing and just different things that I experienced in my life. I was able to, for instance, like see in, I don't call it meditation because I didn't understand the concept of meditation, but just within my mind's eye, I could see animals who had passed, who had been eaten like in a buffet or a restaurant, and they'd show me how they passed. So that was very traumatic for a very young child, like a toddler, and then seeing everything. So that was a lot of trauma that I took on at a very young age. And it's not because I did something negative. Instead, it's because I had to learn how to transcend it for my mission moving forward in order to help others transform their trauma. So that was the purpose. For some people, it could be a frequency that they're emitting that at this point, like if they've gone through trauma, they think that, okay, I just go through trauma. Like people are just mean to me. People just do things to me. And they'll believe that. One thing, I know this is segueing like a little bit, but I feel that this, like the sixth love language, a lot of people talk about 5, but there's a 6, and it's abuse. People will seek out abuse, and not everyone, but specific individuals. And it's because they've become attached mentally to the chemicals of the experience, and they believe in their subconscious mind that this is just part of their life, and they don't actually feel like things are settled if they don't receive that. It's attachment, it's addiction. Trauma is unresolved fear. That's what it comes down to. It's just unresolved fear. So it's coming back to the basis of it. What am I supposed to learn from this? What is this teaching me? How do I overcome it? Am I meant to be a guide for others? Or is this something that is a frequency of fear that I am just holding on to, that I'm attached to? Or is it from like a past lifetime experience? What is this? So first I connect with their higher selves to find the root. And from there we move forward in the modality.
Okay, Tereska, I'm gonna let you tackle Chloe on that one.
That was good. So so you come to your higher self. I mean, you actually deal with that with your higher self first, connect with that, and then attack this whole issue. Because really, you have to come to the terms of really addressing that issue, that it is an issue. So you have to come to that first term. So a lot of people walk around this earth and don't really connect with the fact that there's something really wrong with them in that area. Just they don't think that that there are that you can't, like the anger or the addressing the different issues in your life. You don't think that is you at all. I mean, you don't really think it's you. So how do you address being able to see that? I mean, first getting to the point of seeing it.
So it definitely can be challenging, and it really depends on the people. So when I work with people, I can tell pretty much from the start. I mean, I connect with their higher selves, but I'm quite good at reading people, feeling their emotions, seeing what's going on with them, and what level they're willing to accept. Because sometimes it is a harsh kind of reality in a way where other times it's not. Other times it's very simple, straightforward, and they don't really have to address it in the same way. So it really depends on the individual when it comes to trauma cycles. It really, really depends. But a lot of times it is a harsh reality to accept in order to move forward and to heal the root. To be able to find healing in all aspects of one life. And the way to approach that is really, really different with every person. I don't think that there's a specific formula. It's acceptance by embrace, but that comes in many forms. So with people that are more sensitive mentally and emotionally and have a harder time with certain ideas, I will do more of the energy work for them strictly and not necessarily have any channeling or even too many messages. I really follow their higher self with that. Even sometimes people who are willing to accept still need some energy work. So that's not dependent on that specifically. But I work with the energy within them, and I help to open up what is causing resistance in their mind.
Blockages.
And so Yes, exactly. So focusing on the blockages, and the Seraphim are really wonderful at doing that too. So Seraphim DNA activation, awakening, healing, what it is that I channel Seraphim angelic beings throughout my channel that goes through the chakras in my body, and they channel through me and out of me into the client through the client's meridian points. From there, they can access their trauma and all of their blockages, which is being expressed by the genes. So let's say someone went through chronic trauma, chronic stress. Now they have a gene expression activated that is more likely to be reactive during stress. And it's more likely that they'll have PTSD or some chronic emotional condition. And mental condition. There can be a gene activated that increases inflammation as a response to something as well. The environment, like, different forms of pollution, physical pollution, can also affect the gene expression. So what they do is that they deactivate certain gene expressions and then reactivate the ones that are in harmony and balance, which can take time, sometimes multiple sessions, but it works really well. So they're basically removing what is preventing wholeness and balance. They're removing the blockages at the source that is making them continue to cycle.
Chloe, what's interesting about Seraphim DNA activation, and I know we just finished speaking about self-alchemy and that whole process, but the Seraphim process is when you actually channel angels, and you're getting this this frequency to help them, so you can help the client deactivate negative and harmful gene expressions. So I know that you're actually in contact. For instance, when I'm in QHHT and and I have a client and I'm doing a session and I'm speaking, when I pull the subconscious or the higher self out and I start to ask the questions about healing, and I say, well, how are you doing this? David's um, elbow is damaged. How are you fixing it? Are you actually speaking to the angels that are performing this healing? Are they expressing how they're changing these DNA or what they're doing or anything like that?
So they show it to me in parts, and it really depends on the session. Usually, I communicate to them the most, not during a session, but just on my own time. So this morning, I meditated with them. I asked various questions. At some point, I will be channeling them in order to pass this on to others, but it's very different from Reiki. So for instance, everything that I've taught, every class I've had, there's not any specific prerequisites. Maybe it's like something simple, like it's beneficial to like cut out meats and alcohol and low vibrational substances, but it's not like too many things that you have to really prepare for beforehand. With this, it's very specific. A person's energy channel has to be ready to receive the seraphim for it to be the most clear for them to then go into someone else, because you're basically acting as a base, like the host is acting as a base. And when I'm actually providing the session and channeling them, I don't hear anything during it, whereas I do during like channeling and even during Reiki energy healings. Instead, I see. So I don't see the whole process of it. Instead, they'll show me the transition into that individual that's beneficial. So they'll show me, I'll just say like the finished product, basically, which isn't a good representation of it, but it's an idea. So they show me, once this person is in their healed state, how this will be expressed. So with one woman, for instance, that I worked with, this was, I guess, in November. She was in a really troubled state. I didn't know this at the time, but she had been diagnosed with a condition, and it would cause her body to lose movement. So she wouldn't be able to like do yoga or dance or move her body too much. And I didn't know this because she didn't seem stiff or anything at the time, and she didn't say this. But during the Seraphim DNA activation, they showed me a vision of her dancing and doing yoga and movement and just feeling so alive. So
Wow.
this was like the finished state that she was meant to be transcended in, because the negative DNA expressions that were causing her to gradually lose movement would be reversed. And then herself, and this is something that she said she really values, being able to have her movement. But more than the average person, I'd say, like, she really loves to dance, to connect, to feel this physical aspect of life. And so she broke down in tears, and it was like definitely emotional experience, but because I shared like this vision with her. And so this is what they show me. They show me like the finished product. They show me the person healed, happy, free of inflammation, but it's different for every person. It's whatever they need to have reactivated that is shown.
Wow.
Awesome. That's wonderful. Beautiful. My question is, how do you determine that the Seraphim angels were the ones that can do this DNA thing? I mean, how do you
Yes.
determine what angels are capable of doing what?
So I just asked them. Honestly, I just asked them, but
Hmm.
I know that it's different. It's based upon your abilities. So, for instance, someone else that may not have the same like connection of just being able to go into their heart space and just be like, okay, this is something that I have a download that needs to happen and to heal people who can do it, like who's capable of this. For other people, it can come in different ways. I mean, it could come
Okay.
even in like a emotional response. They may see a picture or read like an article about a specific being, and then they may have this feeling of like deep healing, and then they may connect deeper with them. So it can come in all different forms. It was introduced, the idea of Seraphim, not necessarily what they can do, but just the idea of them, from a client of mine actually. She just asked me about them, and I started then connecting and meditating because I couldn't find too much information online. And then they just showed me what they can do. And then they started doing it on me first. I'm like, wow, this is working, because I had one condition that was really bothering me, and it wasn't
Mhm.
always active. But when it was, like, I felt absolutely horrible. And they worked on that, and I don't struggle with that anymore. It's really amazing. It just, I was like, wow, this has to be shown to others. This has to be passed on.
Oh, that's
You know, I
amazing.
remember when you gave me a session. You actually gave me a reading, and you were channeling my higher self and giving me some information. And he was like, "Hey, I've been in contact. They're giving me new direction. I'm going to be working with this DNA Seraphim Angels DNA activation." And I just found that really fascinating because I've learned up under you. I've learned the channeling method and things like that. So I just, when you said that you were going to be doing that, I immediately called Tereska. I'm like, "Hey, you better call Chloe and just try to get with her." So Chloe, if a person is perusing through your website, and I'm gonna put it up, Magenta Sun Healing, I mean, you offer a number of different healing methods. Is there a system that you like to go through? And I heard you mention a little bit before, you like, well, if they have this blockage going on, then I may do some galactic healing energy to try to figure out what I can clean up there first, and then I'll go here. So is there a stair-step process that you like to do with clients or people who are listening that don't really, they don't know where to start at? Is there sort of a process that you use for to help, let's say a person, and it's not some sort of trauma. What if they're sick of some type of disease?
So it's finding the root then of that disease, and that's something I'd ask their higher self. So if someone's like uncertain or they don't know what modality calls to them, if they were to just email me or call me, and they can find that information on my website as well, then that would be best. And before providing a session for them, just through like email or through phone call or even through text, I can connect with their higher self and ask what needs to be done, what's beneficial for this individual. And when it comes to physical illness, it can be all different kinds of reasoning. I mean, it can be anything from diet to a family member's trauma to one's own trauma to an environmental concern, and they're just more sensitive physically. It can be many, many different things. And so it's just finding the root of that to be able to address, because in medicine, I mean, the root is the most important. The symptoms are just your body, your mind letting you know something's wrong, but it's not necessarily like cancer, for instance, is a symptom of a greater issue. But many times cancer is seen as the root, but it's not. And then like maybe tiredness or pain from cancer would be seen as a symptom, when in fact all of that's a symptom, and it's finding out why that happened to begin with. And then something segueing back like quite a bit that I just want to mention before I forget, when it comes to self-alchemy, when you practice the alchemy of the emotions, so fear to love, anger to trust and surrender, all of these things, when you practice that, and it takes your intentional will, your intention is your manifestation, it takes your intention, you're able to apply that on a physical level. So this is quite the concept that I know not a lot of people necessarily believe in, but it's very, very possible, is the alchemy of metals, of substances, of things that are physical. And the physical things are just energy condensed. So emotions are energy that's in motion. And so when you work with your emotions, when you learn alchemy of the emotions, then you can learn alchemy on condensed energy, and you can change properties of metals of all different kinds of things. So it's really amazing what you can do with that. I learned like quantum bending a while ago to bend metal with your mind, and that was definitely an inspiration for then like working with other things. So that's still something that's in like progress, but I just want to mention that before I forget.
And I want to apologize because it's Araya, not Chloe. So, hey, Tereska, did you can you tell us? And I know that you personally, had a Seraphim DNA activation session, and we talked about that briefly.
Yes.
Would you mind sharing your experience with the audience and what it did for you?
Well, what I'm learning from several of these sessions, not just with the Seraphim, but the whole, there's a root there, but the whole core of my energy needs to reside from love, and I know I need to stem from that area of love in order to allow these things to work in my body. These things to come flow through, and really believing that it all, and believing what God has provided, source has provided, for us all. So the session, I felt the energy. I felt the movement in my body because I have areas of inflammation in my body that I wanted, and then cells. My worry was, and I know it might be others, that my mom had dementia. And my grandmother had dementia. And those type of cells. I wanted to know. Is there a way you can adjust the DNA? I actually asked Chloe the question. So she actually, I guess when the question goes out there, our spirit man, God has it where they want to answer us, they want to help us. I believe that, and so
Right.
the answer came to Chloe, and I was so thankful that it did. So she was able to. She was told me that she was developing, working on, studying the Seraphim angels, and she was, she'd be ready to do this soon. So few months passed, and I did the session. It was a great session. So I'm looking forward to doing another one, because I believe that these sessions, you need to do more than one on any of them, because first of all, it's like we don't quite know exactly how to be in when we do these types of sessions. So I feel like, just like massages, getting a massage, you need to get more than one massage, because your body is not going to completely relax and completely accept everything right at the first session. So it
You
was an
know,
awesome.
I don't want to cut you off, Araya, but there are some people on here that probably are getting to know Araya for the first time.
Yes.
Just walk us back real quick, Araya. How did it all start? Just how did it all start? And just quickly, how you matriculated through one offering so many different services and creating Magenta Sun Healing, and that may give us a little segue into the number of books, y'all. Araya is an accomplished author, so we're gonna go through that as well. But real quick, how did you get it all going, and you started creating all these things, and how did it come to you?
Happy to share that. And then also mentioning one thing when it comes to the sessions and how many, This is a question a lot of people frequently ask me, how many sessions is beneficial, and it really, really depends and changes on the person. So for instance, sometimes I have provided a session for a person and it's just one session and then that's it. And like everything is literally changed like within that hour and then that's just it. But then there's other people, and most commonly at least like 2 or 3 sessions or more moving forward. It really depends on one's ability to surrender more than anything. It's the resistance, and resistance can be a form of protection. The mind is used to protecting itself from like outer influence that can cause energy harm, emotion, physical, mental harm within us. So it's just taking time. So for instance, that's why when I work with children, usually they only need one session and that's it. Because they still have remembered how to fully surrender, and they remember the energy beings that they are to a greater extent on a cellular level as well.
Mm.
So it really depends on the person. But when it comes to my own journey, it really has been a journey. Every single year has been very, very different. So as I mentioned like earlier, I did start my abilities with being able to see and hear animals who had passed, farmed animals, and they'd show me how they died, and it was really horrible. And they would ask me for help. They wouldn't ask me using words. It was more of like a feeling. It was like they would show me, they would scream, they would do whatever expression of their last moments, and then it would be this feeling of like, can you help me? I'm stuck. So I was connecting with these spirits, which really freaked me out. And then when I was like maybe 12 years old, I learned how to tune it out and to suppress it because it was just too much. And then once I was 13, I was like, wow, I can really suppress my emotions. Let me just turn them on and turn them off, because I've always been extremely emotionally sensitive. And it was really overwhelming for me, especially being in an environment like school. I could hear everything. I have very, very sensitive hearing, and I can hear all at once, everything at once. My own voice right now is too loud for me. For instance, like it really is. Like it hurts my ears. The toaster oven hurts my ears.
Oh, wow.
But it's more sensitive than that. Like I can hear energy and spirits, and I can hear so much. Then once I was 14 is when things really started to take off, because I couldn't ignore my abilities. I couldn't ignore anything. I really tried. I really, really tried. I wanted to fit in with my peers. I wanted to be like relatively normal. But that absolutely did not work. And I started to experience visions of people. So it started that I was hugging a friend of mine who is very emotionally distraught, and I pulled the energy out of her, that distraught, hurtful, suffering energy, and I filtered it through myself. And I just did this by instinct. And she stopped crying. She was doing great. And then I was miserable. I was feeling everything and I had to filter it. And I started doing this with people. I didn't say anything, I would just do it. And it would work, and I could do it distance wise as well. And it was extremely painful. I'd connect to people who are going through like the loss of their parent, that were going through extreme trauma, that had PTSD, all of these different situations. And I was able to feel it and then process it through me. And then they would be doing much better, which wasn't sustainable a long time, which is why I then learned Reiki at 15. At 14, I could also see visions of people's childhoods and people's pasts. And that was really interesting, because it then gave people the opportunity to recognize, okay, this is real, that there's more than just what is commonly taught and seen and showed. So I would connect with friends and I'd show them a memory, as in I would have it in my mind, and they'd be like, wow, that's really amazing. And I do it with strangers at school too. So I started becoming very popular at school, but not in the best way. Like people would kind of just use me for my abilities, which was a little sad, honestly. But I thought that those were my friends. They were not, but I thought so. Um, and the, yeah, and then basically at 15, I started professionally learning Reiki, channeling, galactic energy healing, and a bunch of other things at 15. And then I started doing sessions for people at 16. I continued doing classes. I started learning animal Reiki, I think at 16 as well, 17 animal communication, which I didn't like the classes I took, so I just learned it from my own higher self in meditation, because at that point I was pretty proficient in channeling. 17, learning like past life regression, basic hypnosis, creating
Yes.
guided meditations. I started teaching classes at 17 as well on all different topics. And I wrote my first book at 17 as well. And then I wrote my second book when I just turned 18. Then they just continued. And now I connect to all different modalities. I channeled the consciousness of unconditional love when I was 18 in Costa Rica to create Unconditional Love Reiki. And Herbal Energy Healing came next, then Fruit Love Healing, which is connecting to the energy and consciousness of fruit.
While we just go with those right now, here's
Yeah.
opening our hearts, and I'll just let you go through them and how
So that's the first, not the first book. That's the most recent book. I just released that yesterday, actually, Opening Our Heart to Communicate with All Life. Carla Sanders, she's an incredible artist. She made the front cover for that book. And this is a book that is a full written course on learning animal communication.
All right.
And the Learn How to Channel full online course, so that is a paid course. There's also a shorter version of that. That is free, that can be found on the video section of the website. But that basically teaches you channeling, mediumship, communication with your higher self, spirit guides, Seraphim, all these various beings, and how to both communicate and, if you wish to, either channel, speak, write, feel, or heal through you. And I made an animal communication course as well. And then Mother Ocean is a book about fish sentience. It also includes recipes, different stories. It's less on the channeling side and more on kind of a research side, and more of building empathy and compassion for other lives other than our own. I also created a 3-part series for Unconditional Love Reiki. So level 1, level 2, and level 3 isn't available on the website. That's something that would have to be asked to me directly. The reason why is because there's some prerequisites to learn before reaching level 3. And so that's learning the modality. Your Infinite was my first ever book that I wrote when I was 17. So it's I would call it poetry, although it's not like traditional poetry. It's sort of like my rebellion a little bit from like all of the imbalances in the world and how to come back to yourself beyond those imbalances.
I love that.
You. And then I wrote a book with a client of mine who I was actually mentoring. I was a mentor at a high school for a year, and I taught her past life regression, energy healing, and a few different things. So for her senior thesis project, we co-wrote a book, Traveling into the Past. So it's all different stories of our various past lives, as well as a guide to how to experience past life regression on your own at the end. And messages from the animals of Costa Rica, that's just channeled writings of the animals that I came across in my first trip to Costa Rica, and their messages to humanity, basically their wisdom that they wish to share.
Wow.
Information here.
Yeah, we're almost done with this part. Manifesting a Compassionate World is a very short guide, and what it is basically getting people to learn how to alchemize within themselves, to alchemize their emotions in order to then work at different manifestation techniques to create a balanced world, as a balanced self can influence to create a balanced world. I'm writing an extended version of that currently because that one's very short. And The Gift of Fruit is a full course on learning the art of fruit love healing, which can be really wonderful. It's a form of energy healing that comes directly from Mother Earth consciousness.
This is super.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is. I have
She's such a
few of those books.
talented. I'm sorry. Go ahead, Tereska.
I have a few of the books of her books, and I want to get all of them for sure.
Thank you.
So when some of these books you've written, they've been channeled in. Can you just explain that process to us on how and what feeling do you have when you're when you getting those messages to write an entire book? I mean, what's the step-by-step process with that?
So it's different depending on the book, but for the majority of them, and this isn't all my books, but this is the ones that are more, I would say, like awakening consciousness and awareness and love centered. But when it comes to the channeling aspect of it, I just go into my heart space and I see whichever being wishes to come through. So when I say being, I don't necessarily mean just like a specific being, like an Arcturian or Pleiadian or like a specific outside being. Um, it could be consciousnesses, and that's what I channel the most. Sometimes it is like a specific animal, like the animals in Costa Rica, but usually it will be like collective consciousness, like unconditional love consciousness. It's a very interesting feeling to channel a consciousness versus a being, because as a being, you basically feel who they are, but consciousness is not condensed in the same way. So with unconditional love, I just feel love. I just feel comforted, peaceful. I just feel very relaxed, and then I basically am distracted. I feel like a toddler just being given something to like play with or something to do, as this like consciousness is like using my body. So just writing with my hands, and I'm actually put in like an energy pool because I love water and I love like the different energies, of course. So I'm put in this like pool that is kind of like water, but it's a little bit more like flowy. Water's flowy, but it's less dense. And I'm kind of put there usually, and I really like that. So it's kind of interesting. It's like I'm being distracted, and then I just relax and I allow for them to write through me. With the animals, it's a little different because they're like talking to me during it. They're like, okay, this is what I wish to express, and you're
Wow.
not expressing it right. So then
Wow.
like they're kind of like
So they
telling
get on
me.
you. Yeah, they get on you a little bit, huh?
Yeah, and then like this bird once was like, I really don't like what it feels like not to have wings. And they were like kind of distressed about it, and they're like, please hurry up. Like I don't like what it feels like to be in your body right now. So hurry, like faster, faster, right? So it's interesting. So certain animal beings are very like laid back, but it's really, really dependent on who I'm channeling and connecting with.
And then we can be clear that they're not just flying around your window talking to you. You're actually connecting with their consciousness.
Yes. Yeah,
Yes.
with their mind, their spirit, their soul, and their consciousness, which are all aspects of the same thing, but a different expression of it.
Yes. Yes. Trust me.
That's a lot to
You said,
that's a
yeah,
lot to take in. It
well,
is a
yeah.
lot to take in.
But
I mean,
every living thing has consciousness, and
yes.
this is no different than humans or beings that are not humans that are just pure energy. And
Yes.
Chloe has the ability to connect to consciousness itself, which is beautiful.
My
So we
question
all have that ability.
Yes, yes, we all have it. Yes.
my question is, just as you can astral project, would it be that the bird is doing the same thing, or you're
Yes.
doing really?
Yes, so I'm creating an opening for it, but it's really interesting. Like most species, they understand the concept of energy healing and they will do it with one another. They just feel it directly. So it's not as much like the thinking side of it. It's just like a automatic. They just know how to do it. They just do it. Um, and they know how to connect with spirits. Most species connect with spirits quite freely, so they can tell that I'm reaching out to them, and they will reach out back if they feel that I'm a safe person. And sometimes like I have tried to connect, usually if I'm like in an in-person session. And I have connected in the past when I was going through something, like I was going through, a death of a loved one or going through, a harder time. And they'll be like, you know what? I don't need energy right now. I think you do, but I don't. And they'll kind of like just be there with me, and they'll be really kind, and they'll be like, how about if we just like spend some time together, and then once you're feeling better, then like we can move forward. So they're really sweet, but they feel it, they understand it, they'll come closer. Like I've done sessions for animal individuals that I do it at a distance, so they're not even on like a video call, just like by email, and I connect in meditation. Then I see them in person, they clearly recognize me. I've been told by, their caretakers, wow, they do not act like that around anyone, but it's like they know you. And it's
Right.
because they already felt me. And most species and most humans too, they just don't always know it because people kind of suppress or try to like control their emotions. But it's guided by emotion, and emotion is again energy in motion. Um, and so it's just kind of feeling that and responding to it, which can be really, really unique.
Well, I want to be really clear with this audience. Araya provides energy healing in general, but specifically animal communication, animal energy healing, unconditional love Reiki, okay, um, psychic ability mentoring, and empathic ability mentoring. So if you are empathic and you want to understand it and be able to deal with it and use it maybe for good, Chloe can, Araya can help you with that. Also past life and Akashic record reading, which we've had some fun with that back working with me. I've learned a whole lot from Araya, and it's just amazing. I just want people, that everyday person that may not be so wound up into metaphysics or spirituality, just to understand that. And if you have pets that are sick or that are acting strange, Araya can communicate with those pets, and oftentimes can actually heal your animals, and give you an understanding on what they're going through.
Yeah, I also work with nonverbal people, and that's been really wonderful sessions. So, for instance, people who have autism, or even people who have been in comas, like any type of nonverbal experience, and being able to express what's going on within them. And
Yes.
seeing the reactions to it, for not people in a coma because they're not showing the physical reactions, but for other individuals, like they can tell that I'm expressing what they're feeling and experiencing inside, and the reactions are so beautiful and really, really heartwarming. So I do all different forms of communication, for all different species, all different lives. And then I also wanted to mention that not everyone is fully aware of this, but pretty much everything has consciousness. It's in a different expression. It's in a different way than ours, sort of. I mean, everything's different. So every species, every individual, it all comes from the same whole, but it's expressed in a different way. But for instance, like even crystals have their own unique consciousness, and you can communicate with them. It's just not through words, but it's through their own energy expressions.
Mm.
I'm gonna throw out some. Let's play 20 questions. No, I'm gonna throw
Well,
something at you. You just said something very interesting. People need to pick the phone up though, or email you and really understand how you can help them. You said you can communicate even with people who are dealing with autism or nonverbal, meaning that, and I'm not going to put words in your mouth. Can you communicate with dementia patients, Alzheimer patients,
Yes, yes,
things
I
that,
have.
and that is an excellent ability to be able to comfort the loved ones so that they can have some level of communication with their mother or their brother or a relative or spouse that doesn't remember who they are. Araya?
Yes. Yeah, because then an aspect they do remember, not in the same way, but they still have the energy imprint of that individual. They remember the impact that they had on their life, on their body, on their mind. It's just in a different way. It's not consciously experienced in the same way, but it's not that they lost that part of themselves either. Even
Right.
if the brain is deteriorating, it's not just the brain. The body is not just like a follower of the brain. There's so much more to that. They have an energy imprint of that person. And I've done a lot of end of life services for both humans and non-human individuals. Seeing what they want at the end of their life if they're not able to express it verbally, for instance. even working with like distributing assets, a bunch of different, aspects of it. There's so much, but it can help the individual feel more at peace, if
Absolutely.
they yeah, if they like receive what resonates with them, if they aren't able to express it, and it can help with the more easy transition.
So Araya, you deal with end of life assets. How is that dealing with the family? Oh my
So
God.
that, yeah, I don't do that too often for
Right.
obvious reasons. It's not necessarily the most comfortable.
Right.
So it's more of like if someone really, really wants to know that, and if that was
Because you're
not
telling
just
the truth. You're getting everything you're pulling in. You have to tell them like,
yeah.
hey, this is what I'm getting.
Yeah, sometimes I'm actually told don't share this.
Okay.
Mhm.
So once in a while, like I'm just told information just because it's shared, but then I'm told specifically this is not for you to express to others.
Wow.
It's not the time, or it just would not be received well. So that doesn't happen too often, but once in a while, sometimes also people can be very sensitive when it comes to money. Spirits have played games as well on people that they like for instance as a human, like they hid their money and then they wanted to do like a scavenger hunt like with their relatives, and that usually is not received that well.
Hmm.
But that doesn't happen that often. That's like a very specific person. Most people don't do that.
Trust God give you the floor, and then we'll let Araya have the last word, and I'll take us on out.
Well, basically, I would say the bottom line is in this whole conversation is one who does not know where to start. I mean, the energy is one of the areas where we have to grow in and learning how to manipulate and move our energy. Mold it or do whatever it is to our energy. What would you suggest that would be a good start in doing that?
I would say the simplest terms would be to flow and to not to control everything, because most people were taught from a very young age to control ourselves.
Yes.
And that is the most like counterproductive thing that we can do. As in, sometimes like different emotional reactions, like it's important to not act out in violence, and that can be a form of self-control. But usually the reason why someone would even feel that need to act out in violence is because they were trying to control their emotions to begin with instead of letting them flow, experiencing them, and naturally releasing them. Usually they let things build up because they're trying to like resist and reject things. So
Mhm.
learning how to go from within, how to feel yourself. If you have a painful emotion, feel it. Fully feel it, experience it. It's a lot less painful if you fully relax and let yourself feel it. Don't tense up. Don't think thoughts of, I'm hurting right now, I'm stressed, I feel horrible. No, instead feel them. Don't think your emotions, feel your emotions. And if you learn how to feel, you learn how to flow with them. You allow for your emotions instead to become stagnant or trapped. You allow for them to flow and to teach you things. And then you build intuition naturally. And from there, it's really hard to get any types of blockages, really, because it's easy for information to come to you. It's easy for you to transcend different thought processes, emotional disturbances, anything that you're going through, and to learn from it. But if anyone has any questions too, I am here. And
Yes.
also, I just want to mention that my birth name is Chloe Morris, and
Yes.
so a lot of my clients still refer to me as Chloe, and that's completely okay. The reason why I am referred to as Araya Love now is because in meditation I was given that name.
Hmm.
And so, but that's why it's not that I have like a double name necessarily. It's just the birth
Yeah.
name versus like the given name.
I'm glad we cleared that up because I'm calling you one thing. He's
Yeah,
You
you can.
know, I just it's just like a machine gun of information. Chloe, you are spitting this
yes,
information today. I just
yes,
want to let you know that
Um,
I love
absolutely.
the energy and the beauty within you. It is so
And the
it's
gifts.
it's enlightening. Yeah. And man,
yeah.
yes.
Yeah, I mean, I'm just glad that I'm able to express it, because a lot of times I think so many things, but it can be hard to express it. One of the things I've noticed the most is that like every single person has their own language, because every single person like has different feelings, different associations with every phrase, with every word. Source can mean something completely different to like every person pretty much. Even the word suffering can mean different. So trying to express in the form of words, I don't find is the most like useful. I find that if we like learned is a global like just energy transfer, which is like the energy transfer of emotions, ideas, thoughts, feelings would be interpreted directly to a person. But I try my best to express verbally in the ways that I can still, as we're still in transition to that.
Can you just give everybody once more before we wrap this up, how to get in contact with you? Just how you want to be contacted.
So through Magenta Sun Healing, there is just like a little contact tab, like contact, it says like contact/subscribe. So there you can just fill out like a form just with your email, a little information about you. My email, I have a couple of different ones. So if you go to Magenta Sun Healing, at the bottom of every page is both email addresses, and either one is fine. Email, I'd say, is usually a bit better than text or phone calls to start off at least, but if you prefer to use WhatsApp or text or call, you can always send me an email and request that as well. And I'd be happy to like have a phone call with you, or be able to connect back and forth in any way that resonates. And all my sessions are also sliding scale, because that's a message that I received at the very beginning of doing all this.
Super. Okay. Araya Love, it was fabulous having you on. I'm gonna put you in the back office because I want to say a few more words to you before I sign off, and I gotta say a few words to my co-host Tereska. So stay right there. Don't go anywhere, Araya. Okay. Can you want to unpack that just for a quick second?
I hope that I just hope you have her back again, because we really didn't touch the surface. This is we talked about a new thing, the Seraphim angels approach, the DNA activation that she does, and that's a new thing that she's added on her plate, and she just has a plethora of gifts. So definitely need to have her back to
You know,
really explore in all
she's
her gifts.
and I've learned channeling from Araya. She's brought me from galactic energy healing level 1, level 2, level 3, and it's not that I can't perform it, but when people call me, I'll say, "Hey, go to Araya, go to Araya for the service. She can help you, because that's kind of the homage I pay to the level that Araya has. It's just you want. It's just because when she does it for me, it's like, oh my God. But the Seraphim uh,
Yeah.
DNA healing is absolutely awesome. So we're
And
gonna
let me add, Jason, let me add that she does operate from a pure place of love.
yes.
And I mean that's just how she walks, and that's her persona, her spirit is just pure love.
Yes, yes, yes. I mean, most people, most clients will give their shirt off, their back for her, and she'll certainly give her shirt off, the back for her clients. So when you're working with someone who walks in love and walks in the light and energy,
Yes.
you cannot go wrong because the
Yeah,
higher self will connect with her
absolutely.
and give the information needed to to lay the platform for the healing, for your healing. So it is you follow her, get on her website, look at some of the things that Araya does, and you figure out what resonates with you, and give her a call, and give her an email, and I'm sure she'd be able to help you. So I'm gonna go ahead and move you to the back office, and let me close this thing out. Wow, what a first show of the year. And I just have one thing. Araya Love's mission is to spread balance, healing, and unconditional love with all to manifest a compassionate world. Understand that. People have missions to do a lot, but healing and unconditional love with everyone to manifest a compassionate world. I'm so glad that you guys were able to join us for this first show of 2023. Like us on YouTube, on whatever platform you're listening to, and subscribe to this channel. We need to grow our audience. We need people to subscribe so that the algorithms will pick up more of our clippings, more of our video shorts, so that people can hear these messages. And I'm just excited about this new year. There are a lot of different things that we'll be talking about, and it's just very wonderful to be able to continue to share this. This is the third season of expansion of consciousness, and I'm excited about it, and I'm glad that you're still with us. Until next week, we will see you again. Thank you so much. Bye now.